The Dearborn Independent, November 26, 1921, 22nd year, number 5. Mr. Ford's page. More men are beaten by success than by failure. There are men who cannot be defeated by difficulty nor disappointment, but before praise, reward, and recognition, they go tumbling down. The man who is not ahead of what the people praise him for, who is not willing to forego their praise to fulfill his program, is already on the downgrade. The man who thinks he has done something has not many more things to do. One's program should be so long and so complete that when praise comes to him, it will seem to him to be trivial, or for some accomplishment which he made long ago and has left behind. The man who cannot see more things yet to do than the public praises him for having done is nearly through. Success is the enemy. It is the only enemy that can overcome men who are invincible to failure. Men who cannot be beaten through they fail a score of times, men who cannot be discouraged by an army of difficulties, sometimes go tumbling down as a result of little success. More men are failures on account of success than on account of failure. It is very easy to show how this comes to be. There is a railroad that has suddenly come to its senses. It has not done anything very wonderful. It has merely roused itself out of its loafing. It has not introduced a single new plan. It has not practiced a single magical formula. It has simply taken the old, time-worn system and tightened up the bolts, but in some grease, and completed it to go. It has done only the simplest and most common sense things. It has cut out the slack and the loafing and the senseless waste. It has made cars and locomotives and men do what they were created for, move. Now it is a commentary on the slough into which we had fallen, that when one railroad did that very simple thing, it made a sensation. That really is a point to think of. When the simple common sense thing is so unusual as to cause a sensation, it is proof that common sense is not being used very extensively, else people would be more familiar with it. But with all the buzz and talk, there comes another element that most people would not look for. Every man down the line knows that the railroad is doing its work better than ever before, that a new spirit and a new alertness have come into the work, that clumsy duplication and the necessity for loafing have been cut out, and every man naturally feels better about it. Anyone who tells you that a man prefers the dog's life of loafing to real life of going after something and getting it done does not know man. Besides that, the common sense thing is so unusual that it causes a great deal of outside talk. Common sense is business administration appears to be so unusual that it is news. And thus the men on the railroad know that the world is talking about the big improvement they have made in railroad operation. They make clippings of the papers and magazines. They take a personal satisfaction, which is right and proper, and all the praise that is given. They enjoy it thoroughly. But all the time they're unconscious of what this praise and all this credit for success is doing to them. The most common mistake of all is the belief that when people begin to buzz, it is a sign that something has been definitely and finally accomplished, that success has been won. We're such simple creatures that we imagine the race is run the moment the cheers are heard. Now, in the illustrative case of the railroad which we're using, it is very easy to see how praise and the sense of success works upon the minds and energies of men. If the manager has kept his head at all, he knows that though much has been done in lifting the old system out of its rut, it is not to be compared with what is yet to be done. And just there is one of the differences that mark men. You find one type of man standing still, complacently enjoying the little good work they have already done, smiling over it, receiving congratulations upon it, simply sucking it dry of all that can minister to their sense of pride and personal satisfaction. If the manager is of that type, he has reached the end of his achievement. He is through so far as making progress is concerned. The man who thinks he has done something hasn't many more things to do. But there is the other type of manager who is so busy with things yet to be done that he cannot stop to enthuse over what has already been done. He is a long-range program. What he has done, he regards as beginning. Maybe a mighty good beginning, but only a beginning after all. His eyes is far ahead on plans yet to be realized, new ideas yet to be introduced. He spends no time congratulating himself. Of course, he misses a lot of the soft enjoyment of the other type. He misses a lot of that enervation which comes with basking in praise of adulation. He seems rather callous to public opinion, but all that is because he has not yet done the thing for which he will deserve praise. Now this man sees defects that the satisfied crowd of men don't see. He sends for his railroaders and points out what is wrong. He brings them to book on this dereliction of duty or that failure of alertness. He talks to them in the tone which reveals none of the self-satisfaction which they supposed was the constant atmosphere of the inside office. Satisfaction with all the praise and buzzing which was going around. Why, boss, they seem to say, what difference does a little thing like that make? See how well we're doing? Why, here is a newspaper clipping which says, and they go down into their pockets for the cherished bit of paper. Don't you see what the air of success does? Don't you see how it has seduced these men? Don't you see that after fighting failure through, they're now ready to surrender to a little success? Success is the enemy. It brings those elements with it that minister to our softness. There are more people desiring to enjoy life than to contribute something to life. A man wants recognition and reward. We say these are natural desires, and so they are. But when a man gains recognition, the temptation is very great to stop and enjoy the recognition. And then he gains reward, the temptation is to think that he has arrived. Who can count the number of the men who have been halted and beaten by recognition and reward? Make your program so long and so hard that the people who praise you will always seem to you to be talking about something very trivial in comparison with what you are really trying to do. If success comes, you will have to work twice as hard to keep on top of it. Once it gets on top of you, then success becomes your failure. People at large will never be convinced of this, of course, and it is not necessary that they should. It is only when they approach the perilous place of popular approval that they must be sternly warned. The people transfer their own feeling to the successful person and then think of his success under those terms. They see the statesman carried aloft, the ruler exalted, the man of achievement moving along to the applause of people. And they think how lovely, how enjoyable, how perfectly satisfactory such a position must be. And so the attainment of that loveliness and enjoyableness and satisfaction becomes their idea of success. If they only knew it, the man so honored was probably fuming because he was wasting his time to make a public holiday. He wanted to get back to his work. This much is certain. Had the man who was thus honored behaved himself so unseemly as to indicate that he thought he deserved all the adulation, had he shown that success was to him what the people thought it was, they would have dethroned him. It is all a very strange game, and the man who is deceived thereby is lost. Better have a job too big for popular praise, so big that you can get a good start on it before the cheer squad can get its first intelligent glimpsings of what you're trying to do. Then you will be free to work. and being free to work, you will have achieved the truest success and satisfaction.